Good evening, and welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I'm just kidding. Welcome to The Poet is the Poem. Hi, good evening, KL, and good morning, London. Thank you for joining us. For those of you joining from across the world, my name is Elaine, and I am your host for this evening. As I said, the event is The Poet in the Poem. This event is hosted by the University of Nottingham, Malaysia campus, School of English, my poetry school, and is supported by the British Council Malaysia. This event will include Bahasa Isyarat Malaysia interpretation, Malaysian Sign Language, done by Lucy, as you can see on the side of my screen, and she will share it with Wei Chun. If you'd like to use the auto captions, you can turn them on now on Facebook. They will be live generated. A fully corrected transcription of the event will be available after the live recording. We are very aware how imperfect the auto captionings are, but we're doing our best and we will try better each time. As I said, I am the host this evening, and I am the founder of my poetry school, if you didn't know, and the recipient of the Connections Through Culture grant for Southeast Asia by the British Council. Connections Through Culture is a mobility grant that the British Council affords to UK and Southeast Asian artists to create cultural exchange. You must forgive me, it has been a while since I've emceed an event online or off. It took me a while to figure out whether or not I should even wear my pants. I agonized over it. I hope my hair looks good. I think the last hosting gig I did was for BFM Speak Easy, a monthly poetry show, which I co-hosted with Sheena Baharudin. Sheena is also here today, not just as a poet, but as our stage manager. Please say hello, Sheena.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Sheena Baharudin.
So
Sorry?
Go ahead.
So yes, I am one of the people behind the scene who has been working on this project with Elaine Foster as part of a team over the past 1 year. And I am really excited about this, as well as equally nervous because I have to do all of this techie things.
I know you can do it. You did your own islanded event, I remember, for Nottingham. Me and you have a long history. This journey that we've been on, this poetry journey and events journey, has probably been over 10 years now, Sheena.
Yes.
And this project, equally long, has been over a year. And I miss our hosting days. I really miss BFM.
I do too.
And I hope that we can perhaps bring some of that energy to this event. But as you say, you're busy in the back, but we know you're there, omnipresent.
Yes, I am here.
Your students, Sheena, because you're a lecturer at UNMC, right, for the English department.
Yes.
They are performing tonight.
School of English.
Yeah. And wait,
right.
I should actually say you are Dr. Baharudin.
Yes, I recently graduated.
Congrats.
Yeah, in fact, tomorrow the faculty will be having a convocation, online convocation. So I'm going to get a really good rest tonight and wake up for that.
Well, good luck with that good rest. Your PhD was actually on a topic that is close to this work and close to our hearts, which was oral storytelling traditions in Malaysia.
Yes. It is also called or referred to as the Penglipulara tradition. So I tried to find similarities. That's part of the research, really, to see in terms of the tradition of storytelling in the country. And now look where we are, working on this project and basically understanding other people's stories, but through different sort of medium. So that's really cool.
Very cool. Thanks, Sheena. And we will definitely talk to you later once we have launched our film. Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you.
So why are we here? At the end of 2019, as I said, I applied for the CTC grant, which was a mobility grant to support artist exchanges. So flying Brits or flying Malaysians across to exchange and share. COVID hit hard, and so did the lockdown. So our original plans were somewhat threatened, which was to bring a UK-based BSL, a British Sign Language poet, to KK Sabah to work with the deaf community there. I immediately jumped into action. I gotta make it sound really dramatic. To redesign this project so it would still meet its initial objectives, but online. And what happened and how we did it is what you will see today. Today, we are showcasing and celebrating Malaysian Sign Language, or Bahasa Isyarat Malaysia, or BIM for short, through its highest literary form, which is poetry. As a poet myself, a spoken word poet, a performer, watching poetry in sign languages really inspired me. BIM is the official language of the deaf in Malaysia. And like British Sign Language or American Sign Language, it is its own language with its own identity, and it is not connected to Bahasa Malaysia or English in any way, contrary to popular belief. BIM is not signed Bahasa Malaysia. It is its own language with its own grammar and its own history. Important to note is that, like written languages, it has dialects and accents across Malaysia, depending on the community. And as in the case in Sabah, where deaf people also use Sabah Sign Language, which I will need to ask Anna about later because she is more knowledgeable about that. BIM, however, is the formally recognized language of the deaf in Malaysia and is the language that is used in all official capacities by the government. So when you see an interpreter, she is using or they are using BIM. Like written languages, sign languages have their own literary culture. And the level of development varies across the world. The first time I saw ASL poetry was on YouTube, performed by a hearing poet on Def Jam Poetry. Def Jam Poetry, as some of you might know, is where most of us learned about poetry slam. The culture of poetry slam is well developed in the American deaf community. Sign language poetry, or sign art, as some people call it, contrary to popular belief, is a sophisticated language art form with its own poetic grammar. It has been described as cinematic. Deaf poets use a combination of visual vernacular, which is a kind of mime, sign language grammar and swords, which are sign words, and sign language storytelling techniques like role shift. Role shift is to change perspective, to create a fully embodied visual language with its own rhyme, rhythm, and humor. With BIM poetry, the poet literally is the poem. Deaf arts, like deaf poems, deaf storytelling, are integral to deaf identity. Like all poetry, BIM poetry is an important vehicle of self-expression through which deaf Malaysians can tell their stories and be heard. With this project, the team really wanted to celebrate BIM poetry and BIM arts and BIM artists, to create exchanges between deaf and hearing artists and educators in Malaysia, and the UK, to build bridges between our communities, and finally, to advocate for the improvement of the education of the deaf in Malaysia in their own natural language, which is BIM. Language, as you know, is integral to identity and is vital for communication, be it spoken or signed. Today, we're going to share the fruits of our labor, a year-long collaboration, which includes a multimedia film by BIM poet and advocate Anthony Chong. Hello, Anthony. And multimedia poet Sheena Baharudin. And finally, once I stop talking, I will invite Dr. Melissa Yoong, head of the School of English from Nottingham University, Malaysia, to say a few words to really kick off this event. So please stick around for the poetry performances, the launch of the film, the Q&A, where you will have a chance to ask a few questions. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Melissa Yoong to say a few words.
Thanks so much, Elaine. On behalf of the School of English, I'd like to welcome all of you, my poetry school, artists, educators, colleagues, students, guests, friends, to this special event. It is our great pleasure to host this, and we are glad you could join us this evening. I'm a linguist, and sign language is a young but important area in my field, and perhaps not surprisingly, the study of sign language in artistic use, such as poetry and performance, has grown in recent decades. Research has shown us how sign language as an art form not only brings enjoyment to performers and their audiences, but is also an act of empowerment for the language community, not least from the ways the poems express the experiences of deaf people. Sutton Spence and Muller de Quadros write about how ideas of sight are brought to the foreground, reaffirming the positive side of the deaf experience of life and the visual existence of deaf people. So I'm glad we're able to come together today to celebrate Malaysian Sign Language and the important role that it must play in the art world. I would like to congratulate all the artists, educators involved, and thank you for allowing us to be part of this event. I look forward to what I'm sure will be a very enjoyable evening for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Such an honor to have the University of Nottingham host us and support us. And as I said to you in the green room earlier, how cool it is that you are also a student of linguistics. And there's so much we could be doing with this research and this event with the people who are participating. So I'm going to kick off the poetry performance section of this event. There will be 4 performers. There will be 2 performances in English. Has Lucy frozen? 1 performance, 2 performances in English, 1 performance in Bahasa Malaysia, and a special performance in BIM. So I am now going to welcome to the stage a poet who is a published Malaysian writer, currently pursuing an MA in English with creative writing. She is the former features writer at Harper's Bazaar, Malaysia, where she wrote about lifestyle. She has an interest in the exploration of identity, which often features in her writing. And today she is here to perform her poetry, Arvina Gill.
This is not Arvina Gill.
Oh, hi, who is it?
This is Sheena Baharudin.
Hi, Sheena.
Hi. just here, always here in the back of the
Good.
event, just
You
to
gotta-
let you know.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that Arvina is not here yet, but she will soon. And wondering if it's okay with you that we can have Ivan go first.
Of course, Ivan can go first. Sheena,
Okay.
thank you for catching that.
I'll be back.
That's what happens with live events, people. Thanks, Sheena.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're not gonna have Arvina. What a no, actually, it wasn't a potong steam moment because obviously Ivan is just as awesome. So Ivan is a Malaysian writer who is currently pursuing a degree in English and creative writing, and he is one of Sheena's students. Ivan is going to perform a poem today. Take it away, Ivan.
Hello, my name is Ivan, and I'm really happy to be here today. It's a first-time experience for me to have this open poetry session, and I'm really excited to share with you guys my poem for today, which is titled "Spacebar Onward." So, without further ado, I shall present my poem. A collection of spaces and blanks, sprinkled with vagueness and hollow sentences, a mishmash of alphabets. They act only as filler, words in vain, hopeless stutters and gasps try to swim in the air around us, but a vacuum sucks everything in. It seems to laugh. These are a waste of oxygen. Meaningless. What exactly are you trying to say? Spit it out with your mouth. Tear it out from the depths of your throat. Cry it out. Your teardrops might just fill up the empty glass. Rays of sun stream through a window. A plain white canvas leans on its easel. It echoes a soul without color. Splashes of invisible paint. A faded rainbow diluting into the monochromatic cloth. Take up the slipping brush. Paint something, anything. The space is meant to be filled with shades and tones of feelings. It desires to soar the world on just a piece of cotton. Blocks of bricks stacked upon each other. They struggle to create a home. A red box is formed, but it has no windows. There is an absolute zeroness of gaps. We suffocate slowly. If only there was space to breathe. Is there? Cracks in the shape of lightning bolts strike down upon these walls. Now's your chance. Kick them as hard as you can. Release yourself from these imaginary shackles. Finally, for the first time, light shines through. Air flows through. And that is the end of my poem.
Thank you, Ivan, for sharing your poem, mysteriously called Spacebar, with spaces in the title. I love it. Thank you to Lucy for your wonderful translation. So it turns out Arvina has made it to the green room. She is standby waiting. So are we ready for Arvina? Do I need to read her bio again? Arvina is awesome. She's a writer. She's currently doing her MA in English and creative writing at Nottingham. I have to keep saying it. She is one of Sheena's students. She's a former writer at Harper's Bazaar, Malaysia. And she is interested in the exploration of identity, which often features in her writing. Please welcome to the stage, Arvina Gill.
Hi, I'm Arvina, and this poem was inspired by what I saw looking out my window during lockdown. So this is Wildness. The zinc red roofs are glazed with specks of white paint. They hiss in protest as the heat sizzles, settles, and dissipates. The wiry trees twitch. Their yellow dry leaves reach to blue skies beyond pink bricked walls. There is a world beyond these green heavy trees, where rusty barbed wire cuts through space and meaning. Here, I tiptoe between luscious lipstick palms and concrete, while they watch, peeking through their white window panes. The caution tape marks the border, this in-between of my world, where warm rain pelts through perforated skin, and the one where they bathe in gilded light. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvina, for that beautiful poem.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. Sometimes the everyday things, isn't it, in poetry, and staring out windows is such a great poetic motif.
It truly is.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's move on to the next poet artist. We have Abby Latif. Oh, I shouldn't have given that away. So I believe that we are swapping interpreters. Hi, Wei Chun, thanks for coming. He will be interpreting Abby's Malay poem. I know Abby, again, like Sheena, from years and so long ago. We have been on this poetry journey, this performance journey, the storytelling journey for many, many years, over a decade. Abby is most known for her love poetry and her emo storytelling. She's here today because she is a reminder of the poetry community that I grew up in and came from. And poetry is a community event in Malaysia, in my opinion. And we have to stick to our roots. So without further ado, Abby Latif is continuously learning to be a better contributor to the humankind while having a special interest in humanity, sustainability, networking, communications, creativity, and storytelling. She is, of course, also a poet, a writer, a trainer. Is that muscle trainer, Abby? She has performed poetry on stages in Jakarta, with me in Bali, with me in Kuala Lumpur, with me. She also has her own identity. So please welcome to the stage, Abby Latif.
Well, thank you so much, Elaine. Wow, I can't believe being online is also nerve-wracking. But anyways, I wrote this poem. Is in Bahasa Malaysia. Is titled Puisi, also a tribute to the poems by all the poets. So I hope you enjoy it. Puisi, nukilan indah tulus dari hati. Kadangkala mudah difahami. Adakala rangkapmu disalah erti. Bukan salah penulis sendiri. Bukan salah pembaca puisi. Kerana maksud, pemahaman dan erti terpulang kepada individu itu sendiri. Cara kita memahami bukan hanya pada tulisan, tetapi kepada cara penyampaian cara percakapan, lenggok perkataan, senyuman dan perasaan, tangisan dan keberatan. Namun, sesuatu yang paling penting ialah ketulusan dan kemurnian. Jiwa yang dibawa bersama kata, perasaan yang tersentuh apabila dibaca, keinginan yang terbentuk setelah bersama. Puisilah yang mampu berkata-kata kepada kita semua. That's all from me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wei Chun.
Terima kasih, Abby
Terima kasih.
Latif. Bagus. That's how terrible my Malay is. All these years. Thank you. Such a great feeling to have Abby here. It feels like not just a friend, not just a colleague, but family, being there to support this incredible event. And that's what it's about, supporting each other. I messed up the program earlier and I said that there was only going to be 4 performers, but if you knew me and have been to my events, I do get confused a little bit, even if I write it down. So there is another poet who will be performing in English. Shivani Sivagurunathan is a Malaysian fiction writer and a poet. She was born in Kuala Lumpur, but raised in Port Dickson. She spent 8 years in the UK, where she studied comparative literature. Her creative work has been published in numerous international journals, including Anon, Flash, and Agenda. Her poetry chapbook, Chiaroscuro, was published by Bedouin Books in 2010, and her collection of short stories, Wildlife on Coal Island, came out in August 2011. She now lives in Malaysia and she also lectures at the University of Nottingham. Please welcome to the stage Shivani Sivagurunathan.
Thank you very much, Elaine, and thank you for inviting me to be on this fantastic program. The poem I'm going to read today is a love poem in the broadest sense. It can be read in the context of romantic love, filial love, divine love, or any other kind of love. I wrote it in the context of falling back in love with my own heart. I hope you enjoy it. May I always choose you when my old lovers return. May I remember your nectar when I cannot taste it. May I grovel but know that your hands will come. May I hold your light even when I cannot see you. May your soft tune continue while I am courting the past. May I enter the abyss screaming your name. May I remember to forget myself when the fire begins. May I fight to know you, even as the gates are closing. May I rage and in that rage find you. May I drown in fear and in that pool meet you. May we never have to meet again. May you vanish from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani. It was a very expressive performance. I really appreciate that. Please hang around and watch the rest of the event. I'd like to now invite another poet, the last poet for this performance section, who is a BIM poet, a poet who will be signing her poem. Her name is Jessica Mak, or she is fondly known as JC. JC is a person who fully believes in the interests of sign language through communication with the deaf community. She is fluent in multiple sign languages, including Malaysian Sign Language, Singapore Sign Language, Japanese Sign Language, just to name a few. She is currently based in Singapore with her husband and has worked with the deaf communities in Malaysia and Singapore. She is an executive board committee member of Deaf Sports Association Singapore and the founding president of Malaysian Sign Language and Deaf Studies Association, MyBIM, which promotes and creates awareness on deaf communities through sports, sign language, and deaf culture. She has conducted various courses and workshops for deaf and hearing youth and adults, and in the community in Malaysia, the Philippines, Macau, and Singapore. I'm so humbled and so excited to welcome JC. How are you? Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, JC, for that poem in BIM. The poem was entitled COVID-19. We will bring Jessica back to talk about her poem on the panel after this. For those of you who that was their first time experiencing a poem in BIM, please have questions or comments ready for the Q&A. We would love to know what you thought about it, how you felt, and potentially how you interpreted it without any translation. I would like now to invite Anthony Chong. Yay! Anthony, who will introduce, hi Anthony, who will introduce the next section, which is the film. Take it away, Anthony.
Hello, everyone. my name is Anthony Chong, and that's my sign name, C at the I. Okay. The team worked very hard for the past 1 year, and we finally got the results. And so I'm happy to present to you this film called Walls for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. We're just having, as usual, to be expected, technical difficulties at the most crucial moment of the event. I should probably introduce Anthony properly. So Anthony is a deaf community leader based in Kuala Lumpur, and he is a graduate of the University of Malaya, majoring in linguistics, and of Gallaudet University, which is the most prestigious liberal arts college for deaf people in the world. And he majored in deaf studies. He is a founder and member of the Malaysian Sign Language and Deaf Studies Association, MyBIM. He actively promotes the development of Malaysian Sign Language and deaf leadership through working projects with the deaf community. He is involved in several research projects related to the deaf community. He recently completed a film where deafness and queerness intersect for the ASEAN SOGI Film Festival, which was awesome because it was also a poetry film with BIM. He has facilitated many training courses and workshops for the deaf and hearing people who work with the deaf community. Anthony, it looks like we're going to have to chat for a bit because Sheena is still trying to get the film to work.
Yep, sure.
So, Anthony.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me.
Great. I met you at a design thinking workshop for disabilities that Dr. Clarissa Lee organized. Hopefully Clarissa is here watching. Hi, Clarissa, if you're here. And she introduced us. And I have to say, I was immediately inspired by your charisma and public speaking. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like being a Malaysian deaf person at Gallaudet?
Sure. It was also a really great opportunity that I've met Elaine at this workshop. If not, this workshop would never happen. I'm really happy, actually, Elaine, that we met at this event. Let me just share with you about my years at Gallaudet University in US. How does it look like? Prior to this, before going to Gallaudet, I would say that my life would be like, there's nothing special, very monotonous, nothing exciting. Because, like, you know, I don't communicate with the deaf as often as I would like to. However, when I was at Gallaudet University, I had this shock, the cultural shock, I would say. Because the scenario, the environment is totally different. At Gallaudet, and also at my the place where I stay, every day I will communicate in American Sign Language, never ending, and there's no stop. There were like deaf people everywhere. I really felt like, the world belongs to us, all deaf people. I felt like it was very important, I think, to go to Gallaudet University. Regardless, some people, do provide, oh no, don't go to Gallaudet University. So I'm glad I put that comments aside, and I myself find it so valuable. The experiences was very meaningful and very important to me. And the people, the deaf people, they're all involved in American Sign Language, and I really picked up the signs there. I mean, the language, and I took up a class on poetry or poem, and from there I learned. I learned something. I've always thought that ASL, uh, there were no rules in expressing oneself, like the language has no grammar structure. For example, like in any expression in Bahasa, there is like this verbatim word order, the grammar structure. And if not, it doesn't make sense. Okay. But I tried to do several poems in American Sign Language, and the professor provided the feedback. I think he was Dr. Ben Bahan. He himself is deaf. And so he provided a feedback, and he says that's a good poem, but there's no grammar structure in what you sign. Oh, I didn't know that I should have some, grammar structure in it. So after repeatedly watching others do it, and I realized that it follows actually the hand shape. And if you have that hand shape in your poem, you have to include all these hand shapes in every of your sentences or in most of your poem. It must be repeatedly used. So that takes up, and again you have to count the time. So you miss the count, you break the rules. I really learned that from him.
Yes, Dr. Behan is somebody who I read for my own master's thesis. His work on deaf storytelling techniques and ASL literature. Can you tell me a little bit about what is sign language literature? In ASL, there is a history. Does BIM have a legacy or history of literature? And what would it look like?
Prior to my leaving for Gallaudet University, I always thought that Malaysia, we have our, the way we express is through the Malaysian Sign Language or BIM. And I saw that as an identity for most of us. Oh, wait a minute. I learned something. What does it mean? Like, is that how we want to express ourselves? Malaysia, it's like, it's like the deaf. Okay. Malaysian poetry has none of it. The reason is because there is not enough awareness on that. Maybe and in America, I saw that deaf people, when they express in your poem, they have. I guess after the explanation here, there will be more interest.
I came across a really interesting image or idea, which was that sign language literature can be considered through literary hands. And that literature is something that is, whenever a story is passed from one deaf person to a next using sign language. In this way, I feel like there must be so many stories out there that deaf people in Malaysia have been telling each other through the use of literary hands. And I hope that we can somehow find them as part of this research.
Yeah, that's possible.
Thank you, Anthony, for holding the fort with me. Sheena has fixed the problem and she is now ready to show the film. So Anthony, can you again please launch the film?
All right. Let me repeat this again. So we apologize for the technical glitch. And so we want to launch this film to showcase the deaf poetry in Bahasa Isyarat Malaysia, and it's entitled Walls. Please enjoy.
When I was born, Mama connected the dots from my ear to my mouth and proceeded to draw the first 4 lines. A cradle for a child. I remember how she scribbled warmth on my tiny clenched fists. How her kisses graffitied love on my cheeks. They read, "Here you'll be okay. Here you'll be safe." But time soon unfurled my fists into a crawl, smudging the lines she'd so carefully drawn. "No," Mama told me. "Inside the lines you stay." She turned the cradle into 4 walls. I had to stand on my toes just to see the outside world. On one side, there was my brother. I watched him paddling wild with no care of ever getting scolded. I wished I was there with him. On the other side, there was my little sister, whipping up a tornado of butterflies. I wished I was there with her. So one day, I gave it a try. I pulled one leg up to climb over the wall, but my foot got caught in Mama's eyes, so she brushed me off and back to where I was before. I watched as Mama proceeded to draw walls over walls after walls. As they grew higher and higher, my heart shrank sad and sadder. Until that day, one drop, then another drop fell. The walls grew so tall they punctured the sky. A pitter, a patter. The rain began to fall and made me a puddle to splish, to splash, to feel cold water crashing on my face, to drip, to drizzle, to play, and yes, so I played. As I grinned in lightlessness, the rain kept pouring in. It turned the puddle into a lake, into an ocean so deep I could not see the bottom. So I learned how to keep myself afloat. Then I learned how to swim. Then how to dive deep for hours, exploring the wonders that live underneath. But when I came back to the surface, I realized many years had since passed by. There, I saw my brother, now older and in his car, driving Buck Mustang wild. I wish I could be there with him. There, I saw my sister, all grown and on the phone, motioning me to come over and join the fun. I wish I could be there with her. But if I did, this would happen. I began to wonder about what Mama said. Here I'd be safe. Here I'd be okay. Then why do these words keep weighing me down? A hive of thoughts buzzed in my head, and I decided that today was the day. I pushed the walls with all my strength. I pushed and I pushed, and the walls all fell and crashed into a pandemonium of colors. I saw Mama's bulging eyes going, no. I saw Papa's chaos of limbs going, no. There was my brother going, you are going to get it. There was my sister going, you are in so much trouble. But then I went, no, no. Go away. Leave me be. Let me walk and cross every line that was drawn. Let me breathe in this empty space. A place of my own to write my story.
Congratulations, Anthony, on the poem. Congratulations to Sheena. I really wonder what people think about it. This is so lovely. Are there any other comments? My background team, does anyone? Way to go, yay. Please put your comments in the comment section, either on the My Poetry School Facebook page or the UNMC Facebook page, and we'll try to push them in. We've had one comment that was asking why not SL interpreter and why BIM interpreter. That's because there are many sign languages and this event is in BIM. Hello, yes, that was the comment. I hope that clarifies it for you, Kevin. Beautiful and poetic. Thank you, Juan. I should probably now invite the team who is part of this wonderful film project. Sheena, can I get you from the back to the front? Yeah. Sheena.
Hi.
Well done on fixing it all up and holding the fort.
Yes.
Let's bring on Anthony as well. And of course, Anna. Is there space for all of us? Can we still see the interpreter?
Can we? Let's see. Let me do my thing. Hold on, how about I put her here?
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Lucy's on the stage. Okay, guys, congratulations. I was so nervous, even though I've seen it. Has anyone seen any of the comments? Anthony or Anna, who's been reading them?
I haven't been reading them. I'm still catching my breath.
Okay, catch your breath. How does it feel? Anthony, to have finally finished it and for the world to see?
Wow. Wait. It's really a wow, nerve-wracking. Phew, I am so relieved now and so grateful that it was finally shown. It was totally a hard work, and I hope that you enjoy it.
Anthony, what do you think of Sheena's translation?
when I made the poem, I basically based it on my growing up years, my own experience, and the way I expressed it was more natural. And so Sheena put in those, the English words to express. I watch, and there were a lot of connection there. I can see all the connections was there. So it's a way of seeing how I portray it and putting it very nicely in words. Because when I was growing up, wait, can we have Anthony up? Yeah, that's better. Why? The reason is because as I grew up, and I want to express it in English. I wasn't very good in expressing it in English language, so I express it mostly in Malaysian Sign Language, in BIM. So Sheena really read it. I was really touched, Sheena. I was really. And at times, I want to express myself. I don't know what it means inside. I mean, I don't know how it would be translated into language. Into So I'm like, I feel, Sheena, you are like the super efficient, super good, super clever. Yeah, to get that the feeling and the emotions and the expression that I wanted to spelt out.
Sheena,
Yes.
I guess at this point we should tell everybody that the translation is not verbatim.
Right. It was never verbatim from the beginning because I am not fluent in BIM or sign language in general. But I do, at least, I like to think that I understand poetry and storytelling. And when I first watched Anthony's performance of the poem Walls, I just told myself that I am just a blank paper. I don't have any thoughts yet. I am just experiencing what he wanted to tell me. And that's how it started. And to hear Anthony and to see Anthony sharing his thoughts and appreciation, I am so touched. Thank you so much, Anthony, for what you just said.
Since I'm talking to you and this idea translation, of course, during our workshop process, we talked about what a translation could possibly look like of a BIM poem because of its visual nature. And obviously, poetry translations are never verbatim. It is part of the language to be interpreted, and the way that we use interpretation and translation are also very loose. You made choices that were both design, or that they look like design choices, and you made choices on the translations of the words into English. But actually, the design choices are also language translation choices, because images and moving pictures and sound are also language.
Yes.
So how did you make those choices? What was the process that you went through?
For me, my process was something that I shared on my Instagram. There is a difference between translating one poem to another poem. But in this process, what I was very conscious of in the way that I do things is that the end product is going to be a multimedia poem. So I had to make decisions based on images or concrete imagery in Anthony's poems. with of course, the objective that I will be able to use imageries and movements, as well as, in certain cases, sounds.
Yes. Again, I imagine these choices were made to highlight the visual and the kinetic nature of BIM.
Yes.
Which is why we chose multimedia as opposed to just a flat image of a recording of him.
Correct.
But with no real knowledge of BIM, and Anthony can testify to this, you managed really to understand him and his words and the language of his poetry quite intuitively.
I think there is an explanation to that. And it's because by the time I started working on the multimedia poem, we've already known each other for close to a year. If I didn't know Anthony, I don't know whether I would be able to do the same translation.
Understood. And when I was doing my master's, I learned from other interpreters how they interpreted BSL poems. And the more you know the poet, the more you understand their work. Even Lucy, our interpreter, was given the words of the poets beforehand so she could get a grip of potentially the tone of the work. Really helps with the interpretation. Shout out to Anna, she messaged me. Anna Kitson, not you, Anna Jonasi, just now from the UK. Gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Yes, the workshops. We were workshopping this for almost a year. It was all online. We haven't seen or met each other physically ever. Anna Jonasi, I haven't seen you probably since 2019, and also Anthony, 2019 when I came back to do from my master's in London. And it is incredible the way that we've managed to build relationships online. It was a challenge because communication isn't easy. Not just because it's online and not just because some of us are deaf and some of us are hearing. This is an opportunity for me to introduce Anna Jonasi. Say hello, Anna.
Hi.
You're so quiet, Anna, over there in your brand new Hawaiian batik shirt. Anna, it was really you and me, wasn't it? 2019, I was writing my thesis, and I asked you about the potential of bringing deaf poetry workshops to deaf children in Sabah. And I asked you not only because we're from the same hometown, but also because you have been doing a lot of work with the deaf community already in Sabah. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing from the deaf workshops, the deaf poetry, and the deaf singing? And why did you do it? How did you get into it? Tell me everything.
I actually have a very short answer for this, but because you wanted a long answer, I'll do the longer one. Okay, so there was a KFC branch operated by the deaf community in my childhood neighborhood. And I guess that was my first encounter with sign language. But it wasn't until I think 5 years ago that I started learning American Sign Language on YouTube and Bahasa Isyarat Malaysia from the community that I got to meet them, and in particular a special education teacher who I hope is also watching right now, who wanted to bring her students to perform outside of school. So they chose, translated, and choreographed the songs. I didn't actually interpret it or translated any of them. And we performed together for a while. And it was that time that I learned and met more people from the community, and many of them have become like really close friends for me. And I think the organizing process was nothing special. It was the usual writing and submitting letters and communication. But I think it was the learning process that was interesting, because for a very long time, I didn't know about deaf culture. And once I did, and it's also an ongoing process. A lot of the things that I did then was not great, and I've stopped doing that. And I'm really glad and really grateful because my friends like Tommy and Etta continue to like educate me and call me out on my mistakes. And I think that is the whole experience is what made this learning process really, really cool and really interesting. And yeah, I hope I answered the question.
You did. Also, as an interpreter yourself, and I put you through this rigorous poetry workshop. How do you find the translation process? How is it different between translating verbatim speech and a poem, for example?
It
What
was
did you?
so hard because, it was so hard, and I guess it was equal parts overwhelming and also exciting because I am not a linguist, I'm not a poet, and I'm also not a native signer. So there was a lot of learning about languages and learning how to express BIM poetry into written words. And my biggest worry was always, how do I do this without messing with the structure, with the meaning? Yeah, because you and Sheena gave us this whole poetry workshop, and it was so foreign to me. But yeah, it was really fun. But at the same time, really made me feel like, can I actually do this?
You brought up a really interesting point about meaning, and this idea that you didn't want to lose the meaning because you weren't direct translating, as if you would misrepresent the BIM poet, right? And it is quite an awkward thing. And I think we came to the conclusion that as long as the essence of the work was put through, the essence of the work, the tone, which is what we consider in any poetry translation, and more importantly, the cultural identity of the poet. I'm really glad that we finally had this experience after all the talking, even though originally the plan was to be in a workshop with kids, with a British poet. But in the end, what we did was we learned how to do it ourselves. And I'm not saying it's a perfect process, but it's definitely something that I would like to try out eventually when lockdown is lifted and we can get into schools and all get into a classroom and do this together. Anthony, what are your hopes for the deaf in Malaysia? With ideas of identity and with this poetry, what can we do with this work, and what would be a message to deaf Malaysians at this point?
Now it's the time to make a new part of our deaf culture. And we have now, which is the BIM, and that's part of our deaf culture. Expressing ourselves or our poems, we haven't started. Not in the big way. And expressing, like perhaps the deaf person's storytelling, and is being carried out by generations or through the deaf community. It must happen, and that will be made like through video, and everybody, all the deaf people can appreciate this poem. And my hope for the deaf community, come on, join us in this journey and express yourself. And don't think that, oh, I can't express. And I guess through the one way of expressing it, if you are like having these swings of moods, if you have stress, if you're then it will be more, it'd be more beautiful, and we can involve many, many more of the deaf community to share this. Don't just keep it in, your cupboard, locked it up. Go ahead and express it. And that's my hope. And at the same time, the adult deaf people, continue with your poem, and let the deaf children see and follow suit, your expression, your poems. And I'm sure in the next future, more and more deaf people will be able to express themselves. Don't keep your thoughts, your feelings to yourself. Go ahead and enjoy it. Go ahead and express it.
Madonna suddenly springs to mind. I don't know how old you are, Anthony, but I thought maybe you'd appreciate a Madonna song in the middle. Express yourself. Hey, hey. Thank you, Anthony, for that. I'd like to now invite Jessica back, Jessica Mak. I want a quick chat with her about the poem that she did. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hi.
Jessica, welcome to our panel, and thank you so much for performing your poem. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get into BIM poetry? Where did you see it? Where did you learn it? Tell me more.
I was staying in Japan, and there was an ASL. There was a school that teach ASL poem or poetry, and so it gave me some homework. So I had to create something for the class, and so that's how I learned about poetry. I chose COVID because I think this is like the trend. Everybody is being impacted by COVID in our lives at this moment. So I wanted to share the feelings, and I believe, okay, then you will see, it's a visual way of expressing of what's happening here. BIM also focuses on hand shape, but also the role taking and the movements, and also include our facial expression, what we feel, what's around us.
When you create in BIM, do you create from the sword first, the BIM, or do you write it in English or any other language? What's your process?
Okay. In doing the BIM poem, I first choose a topic, for example, and I just put in some thoughts, like, in sign language, just like a jigsaw puzzle. My mind works like a jigsaw puzzle, and slowly I try to fit it into a picture and how it flows. I can't write and then translate into sign language. That's not how I work. I guess my mind is all this picture juggle up together like a jigsaw puzzle, and then I express it through BIM. And so it never occurs in my mind that it must be a written BIM or English.
How do you recall? How do you remember your work? It must change all the time.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And it's not easy. First, I establish what, like, the handshake I want to use and what happens after that, then the next. So it's like, you write sentence. So it's same, like I know people get sick. What's the awareness and the concerns of people, especially I'm talking about COVID and the household, what happens. And then also our frontliners, how they work and whose responsibility is that. And finally, how do we all get together to stop this COVID-19? So it's just like flowing together.
Understood. It sounds very organic, but very much, like I mentioned earlier, cinematic. You storyboard. Last
Yeah,
question.
absolutely.
Last question for you, Jessica. What can we learn from BIM poetry?
Okay, first, play with your signs. Put it and think of it as a game first. Put in all the signs that you want to use, the hand shapes, the movements. Yeah, even if you want to use the 5 hand shapes, or so make it like a fun first, make it like a fun story, and then slowly convert to poetry.
Cool, thank you. We're running out of time. I was going to ask a final question of the panel. I'll do it very quickly. It's for anyone to answer. What was it like collaborating on an arts project online during the pandemic? What are your takeaways? Anybody?
I'm just going to watch. Because it has been difficult for me, I feel. Because, when we think about collaborations, there's always that sense of being together in the same space, because it is a creative project. I don't know what it is like for all of you, but for me, it needs to be physical. I think that's the word. Real. And online just takes that away. But that's just another form of a challenge that I hope that we have somehow managed well considering the circumstances.
Anyone else want to comment on the collaboration online?
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Sheena said. It was very difficult for me as well. One, because obviously internet connection, and I learn by touch and movement. And I think because of my lousy internet connection, I wasn't able to sign with Anthony. And I think the process made it a little bit difficult because I really, really hate working with closed captions.
Yes, I remember the internet connection in Sabah. Not just the internet in Sabah, the flooding in Sabah, on top of the pandemic in Sabah. It was just, come on, Malaysian government, get your crap together. But yes, we used a lot of tools. At one point, you were video calling Anthony on a different device and then interpreting it back to us over Google Meets because of the connection. Because with signing, obviously, you need a clear connection or else you can't see the swords and the gestures. which was a challenge but a wonderful learning process. Such a learning process in terms of access and, of course, communication, and how we all had different ways of communicating, like you said, Anna, in terms of tech. Some people like to touch and move, and how we need to take these into consideration when we're teaching and communicating. Okay, we've got a few questions from y'all out there in the interwebs. I will just read them out loud and put them to the person that they are allocated. So this comment is from Facebook from an Anna Smith, another Anna. Anthony, is the poem presented in your final form still your poem, or has it changed?
Change? What do you mean by change? Sorry?
I think the question is about translation. Do you feel that the poem has changed in its film form through translation? Do you still consider it your poem?
Oh, no change at all. It was perfect. It really, expressed what I did. Same, I did not write it in English or Bahasa, just like what Jessica was trying to explain. We followed the grammar structure of the BIM. And so when I signed, it was just like that. However, one of the challenges was, that if you ask me if I could sign the same poem again live, there may be some changes. For example, when I was using this sign, like to count, do I need to count how many times I did this? Exactly. Then through the original work, then I think it's impossible. I don't count. Unless I have to repeat it again. That's one of the challenges. And it's not like, in written Bahasa in English, you can, use the eraser, or you can use a computer to delete the word and put it here and there, but not in sign language. Yeah, a lot of work, but it's been a very good experience. And same like in terms of collaboration through online, there are negative and positive. Of course, when the internet connection was slow, it was very frustrating. But the plus sign was that we can be at anywhere, anytime, and the interaction will continue in our own space and time.
I think the question definitely brings up questions of authorship, which I can't answer now and don't want to talk about. But I think that it's a question there about ownership of the poem and whether or not Sheena's poem is her poem or just a translation. Anna also asks, she would like to use the BIM poem with deaf groups in the UK. Are you published anywhere, Anthony?
I don't know. I can't answer that. Okay, with regards to authorships, yeah, there's one problem. When we express it, of course you can put authored by Anthony, and then when it's being like translated, and then we say translated by Sheena Baharudin. Yeah, it's possible. and to have it translated, and I think with poems it has to be on a video form, not on the on the print media form.
Exactly. Also to one Anna Smith, yes, this poem will be made available for free. We will put the link up after so you can use and share wherever you want. And if you need teaching resources, please get in touch with my poetry school and we can chat. But this is definitely the beginning of putting together resources for teaching BIM poetry, collecting BIM literature through video, to answer your question. Other comments that have come through from Zoe McWhinney. She said, Anthony's BIM with the illustrations have so much nuance in it. I felt almost like I was inside the nursery, in the family home, and understood the family dynamics that grew with it. Because I am deaf myself and indeed heard about and witnessed the dynamics many times over. This is a true talent. She continues, the colors of the cot made it just so much more realer. It just goes to show how the other senses that we use to communicate bring more to meaning, and that we shouldn't forget the other senses. Some of us are blind, some of us are deaf, hard of hearing. We all are in our human capacity. If we can use as many of the senses, we should bring them to our communication and language process. As an applied theater practitioner, as a theater practitioner, it's such an exciting art form because it involves everything, all the senses and the body. And this idea of talking through the body, with the body. Hence the poet in the poem. Now, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to end it there unless there are any burning questions. The comments are coming in are brilliant, they're inspiring. I will definitely go back, the team will definitely go back and look at them, and maybe we can respond to them later, because for now we're out of time. Sheena, Anna, Anthony, and Jessica, any last words about this? Maybe I will give it to Anthony.
I hope that all of y'all had a very entertaining evening. And this is just one step to be ready to unravel yourself and to express. Come on board.
Indeed, come on board. This is a call out to arts practitioners and educators, how arts and education can work together, how arts and education and advocacy can work together. Collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Thank you so much to the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, Malaysia Campus School of English for hosting this event on their Facebook page. Thank you so much to the British Council, Southeast Asia, in particular, Erica Chong, who helped so much with the PR and why we're in the Star and the Tatler. Who would have thought we would have been in the Malaysian Tatler? It's a celebrity rag. Again, thank you for allowing us this opportunity through the funding. Your funding saved me as an artist, as an educator, enabled me to work and also to learn something very important. So many things which we discussed today. If you want to watch this recording again, we will put it up on YouTube, or of course, it will be on Facebook. Like I said, we will fix the captions so they're more correct. The link will go up to the film. Please share it, tag it. Please tag my poetry school. Please tag Sheena Baharudin, Anna Jonasi. Please tag Anthony Chong. We are all over social media. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you, UK. To my lecturers out there, you finally get to meet the people you've read about, like characters in a story. And thank you to Malaysia for listening. Good night and be well.